Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon. I am Research Associate Rabia Anwar at the Center for Law and Security, and I warmly welcome you all at this webinar session today. The topic under discussion today is much needed and the one that has become the need of our, the Gaza peace plan that has a hope to put an end to the Israeli atrocities in Gaza. And to discuss this subject matter, we are deeply honored to have with us His Excellency Ambassador Sardar Masood Khan, currently serving as the president of the Center for Law and Security, the Millennium Universal College, and the Millennium Institute of Technology and Entrepreneurship. He has been a distinguished diplomat with decades of experience in multilateral diplomacy and international peace building. Among his notable diplomatic missions, he has remained Pakistan's ambassador to the United States of America, China, and Pakistan's permanent representative to the United Nations in both Geneva and New York. He has also served as the 27th president of Azad Jammu and Kashmir. I warmly welcome you, sir, and thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Beginning the session, my first question from you would be, given the depth of mistrust between both Israel and Hamas, what key points in Trump's this 20 points agenda peace process could become points of divergence between the two parties? And where does this Palestinian Authority stands in this triangular framework or triangular dynamic?
Well, thank you so much for this question. I'd say that there's no common ground between Israel and Hamas, even as they are holding these negotiations, but both sides were under pressure. Israel from the international community, 3/4 of the membership of the United Nations, which has recognized Palestine as a sovereign state. And also there was direct pressure from President Trump on Mr. Netanyahu to put an end to this genocide. So this is Israel wanted to continue this war and permanently occupy the territory of Gaza, but it had no choice, and that's why it has conditionally agreed to talks. There was also pressure on Hamas from Turkey, from Saudi Arabia, from Qatar, from other Islamic and Arab countries to accept this formula. The purpose was that they should find some formula, some agreement whereby genocide in Gaza can be stopped. And that's why there was this demand. The crux of all the demands was that there should be a permanent ceasefire. Now, you've asked a very important question. I think that, let me talk about the priorities first. The priorities for both the negotiators in varying degrees are a permanent ceasefire, also a swap between the hostages and Palestinian prisoners, the restoration of humanitarian assistance for the people trapped in Gaza. And there's also the question about the post-war interim governance structure, which would be headed by Mr. Tony Blair and President Trump. And so then the implementation of the agreement that would emerge from these talks. Now, you have asked a question, where would be the differences? And one difference would be because the entire exercise that is being done from the Israeli side or from the Western capitals is to disarm Hamas and to decommission it inside the Gaza territory, and or to give them amnesty, the ones who would stay in Gaza, and they would give this permission to some of the Hamas cadres to leave Hamas, to leave Gaza territory. So this would be, of course, a very, very difficult point. Then there is ongoing Israeli bombardment or its operations, military operations inside Gaza. and they can derail the talks. Mr. Khalil Al-Hayya, who is the representative of Hamas, has raised this question.
Yes.
Um, there's another point, I mean, in that peace plan given by President Trump, is the question of the right to self-determination of the people of Palestine. And it hasn't been given much space. And the last point would be the role of the Palestinian Authority. Since this interim governance structure is being created, Palestinian Authority in the first phase is being excluded from any political role. Now, there's this precondition that the Palestinian Authority should reform itself, and once it has reformed itself, then it could be integrated into the governance structure, or the governance could be handed over to the Palestinian Authority. But Israel has rejected three things. One is Palestinian statehood. The other is any role for Palestinian Authority, even if it is reformed. So I think that these are the stumbling blocks, but let's hope that good faith and common sense would prevail and they would reach an agreement.
Thank you, sir. Very well articulated, sir. My next question would be connecting to the previous one. Like, while the plan emphasizes demilitarization, the reconstruction and governance reform of Gaza, sir, not only a single plan calls for holding Israel accountable for war crimes and causing famine during this Gaza offensive. Sir, how do you interpret this omission? And what implications does it have for justice, reconciliation, and the credibility of peace process? And will it tarnish the further negotiations process?
I think that in the negotiating process, the utmost priority is to put an end to the Israeli aggression in Gaza, because Israel has punished the entire population of Gaza collectively. And this has been watched by the international community. There's footage available. And so this is not like Nazi Germany's Holocaust, which had to be documented later because everything was done or most of the things were done in secrecy. But this time, Israel's war crimes have been recorded by historians, by media persons, by, in fact, survivors of the Holocaust. They've recorded it, and there's footage available. But Israel was not held accountable by the United Nations, by other international institutions, by powerful nations like the United States and other members of the Security Council. So what you see is collapse of international law, and Israel has been given an exception. I don't think that if this political configuration continues in its present shape, that Israel would be held accountable. I mean, the biggest victory that the international community can achieve right now is a stop to Israel's genocide in the occupied territory. So that's where we are.
Right, sir. Sir, beyond the US and Israel, the real stakeholders are the ones that you have mentioned before, like Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Qatar, Turkey. And sir, do you believe these players could they leverage this peace plan to their own strategic interests?
Well, I think that this war has exposed all these Arab countries, and particularly the Gulf countries. They are allies of the United States of America, and they expected, under the Biden administration, but more so under the Trump administration, that they had the security cover from the United States of America. Now, Israel has shattered that myth by attacking Qatar, and these countries have become more vulnerable. They were vulnerable after October the 7th, 2023, but now they have become even more vulnerable. Why? Because Israel had announced, at least Prime Minister Netanyahu had announced, backed by his right-wing extremist cabinet colleagues, that the real purpose of this operation is to expand the territory of Israel, and they were working for greater Israel. So I think that this realization sunk in, and the Arab countries were galvanized uh, in search of a new security architecture for their protection. So that's why I think Saudi Arabia signed a mutual defense agreement with Pakistan. This gives them um, a modicum of security vis-a-vis Israel. So this is where they are. But I think that, and they want to put a stop to Israel's plans to realize this dream of greater Israel, which would include territories of, as Israel has announced or shared with the international community, which would include chunks of the territory of Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, and of course, Palestine, occupied Palestinian territory. The formula itself, I mean, the 20-point formula, the peace plan, erects barrier against these ambitions too. For instance, they talk about complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, that Israel would not annex the Palestinian territory, occupied Palestinian territory, to Israel's sovereign territory, and so on. So I think that there's vulnerability and the situation is very fluid. And once there's an agreement between Israel and Hamas, which is endorsed by the United States and the Arab countries, Pakistan is part of that Islamic and Arab group, which has supported peace and some sort of diplomatic channel or conduits for resolving this issue, then we would have a clearer picture where the Gulf countries stand, where the Arab countries stand, and what is the way forward for peace and stability in the Middle East. Because President Trump, in his recent statements, has said that it's not about Gaza, it's bigger than Gaza, that he's working on peace and security in the Middle East. So let's see if his ambitions or his plans succeed.
Right, sir. Very right. Sir, moving forward, now the plan envisions massive reconstruction through an international trust fund, right? So, what safeguards are needed to ensure that humanitarian aid and economic reconstruction do not become tools of political leverage or conditionality
Well,
in
you
this one?
see, the plans that have been announced so far are very murky, and we do not have a clear roadmap or a blueprint of what they're going to do.
Definitely.
All we know that this would be a technocratic setup. Palestinians who could be trusted by the United States and Mr. Tony Blair, they would be inducted into that governance setup. So beyond that, we do not know what kind of reconstruction it would be. And would it be for the rehabilitation of the displaced Palestinians, or would it be for the settlement of Israelis or people from Europe and the United States of America? Because you recall that at one point, President Trump had said that he wanted to make Gaza a Riviera, like you have a French Riviera. So we do not know, and this is an ambitious plan. I think that the cost of this rebuilding would be too high for the Palestinians to afford, and it would be supported. The expectation is that the money would not come from the United States of America, but from the Arab countries. particularly the Gulf, the rich Gulf countries. So we do not know whether this would um, be an initiative to um, provide relief to the Gazans. But one thing is clear, that the United States is serious about the reconstruction. Israel
Hmm.
too would be a stakeholder and partner. What would be Israel's stake? We do not know. Whether it would have settlements there like it has in the
Hmm.
occupied Palestinian territory, because they have a pattern. There are about 700,000 um, Israelis living in the occupied Palestinian territory. Would Israel also give a green signal to uh, such settlements in Gaza as well? I mean, as far as Prime Minister Netanyahu is concerned, or others, they have said that they would do it. So would America put a stop to it? And would America ensure that Gaza remains free from illegal settlements?
Very right.
We have
Right, sir.
questions, no answers yet.
Yes. Okay, sir. I duly agree with this point of yours that Israel that by setting up this technocratic administration in Gaza, Israel on one hand it's outrightly rejecting Palestinian authority in that space, and it is a form of trusteeship government that delays genuine self-determination of Palestinian people. Is it so, sir?
You know, the point about self-determination is mentioned in the peace plan.
Yes.
There are two big questions, uh, and there's no timeline, as a matter of fact. I mean, so these were talking to the United States for years, as a matter of fact, especially they accelerated their dialogue with the United States after October the 7th, 2023. And they had three demands. And one of the demands was
Mhm.
that there should be a time-bound plan for the creation of a Palestinian state. I mean, it has already been recognized by three-fourths of the United Nations membership,
Yes, sir.
but they wanted a timeline, and there's no timeline. And then, of course, an additional demand was that there should be defined territory, right? As far as the aspiration of the people of the world is concerned, that it should be contiguous territory, uh, dating back to the pre-1970, 67 borders. So would
Yes.
that be done? So here the question is, there are two questions, and Khalil Hayya must be thinking about it. Even if they have signed the agreement, would United States or the international community, or would Turkey and Qatar, and particularly the United States, would guarantee that Israel would faithfully implement this agreement? And the second is whether or not the Palestinian territory, or the people of Palestine, will get a sovereign state.
Very right, sir. Sir, my last question is, how do you foresee the implementation or materialization of this plan could be done in coming months? Because of the situation that Israel is continuously bombing Gaza, and as the Hamas leader has reiterated that this could tarnish the negotiations process. And also, sir, the plan's timeline of for the exchange of hostages between both the parties within 72 hours of acceptance of this peace plan. Sir, how realistic is this expectation? And what mechanisms could prevent the further breakdown in such a sensitive process?
But I think the priority is exchange of hostages and Palestinian prisoners. So I think that they're preparing the ground for such exchange, and
Okay.
they're making arrangements. I think that this could be, once there's an agreement, this could be done seamlessly, unless there's bad faith and
Hmm.
Israel decides to sabotage this agreement. I think that the 20 living hostages and nearly 30 dead hostages, or less than 30 dead hostages, they would be handed over to Israel. And there are
Right.
250 Palestinian prisoners which would be given to, as per the agreement, to Gaza or to other Palestinian authority as well. So here the question is that I don't see any difficulty in this swap or this exchange, and they have to agree on timelines and they have to agree on the modalities. And as we discuss this, this very point is being discussed in Sharm el-Sheikh. So this is a priority for the United States, and this is a priority for Israel. So I think this would go on swiftly.
Right.
Other issues may encounter, implementation of other issues may encounter difficulties.
Very right, sir. So with this, I would like to conclude this session, and I'm really thankful to you, sir, for joining us, for your comprehensive and thoughtful insights. Your analysis has helped a lot to understand not only the technical and political dimensions of this peace process, but also the implications for peace and regional diplomacy. So thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.